Thank you for having me. I'm Dotan. I'm a student at the Weizmann Institute, the group Barak, and I'll tell you how we are incorporating binary modulation in pulsar searches that are using this short vector analysis algorithms. So, first of all, what is our goal? As Barak said, we want to search coherently and blindly for binary pulsars in Fermi data. The most challenging aspect is if we will search for millisecond pulsars. This is like the typical gamma ray pulsars of either young or millisecond. And the millisecond pulsars we know mostly from radio observations that are mostly in binaries, and currently we cannot search them blindly in the Fermilab data. So this is big motivation to do that. Regarding the number of potential candidates, Barak already told you, you have some 600 high probability unassociated sources in Fermilab that are expected to be pulsars. So repeat briefly. So the real problem here is just the enormous computational cost. So if you have just simple FF dot and unknown position, you will have to enumerate over some 10 to the 20 templates, and if you try to add to this binary modulation, it would easily grow to like 10 to the 40 options, and this is something that is completely unfeasible to enumerate. So here comes to the play this short vector analysis algorithm to solve the timing problem, in which if we have a linear timing model and this pulse profile, forget about it. But so in that case, performing a periodicity search is the same as solving this short vector lattice problem, which is pretty easy to do with really advanced algorithms that are in the courtesy of the cryptographers, are really fantastic. So now let's go to the case of nonlinear timing models. So we know that if we have the barycenter times, we can this polynomial model is very good, but we don't, like at the beginning we don't have those barycenter times. To get a barycenter time, we need to take the times of Fermi and do some solar system correction, and then the correction from the binary system. Let's limit our currently discuss just the binary system term, and even that only the case of completely circular orbits, in which case we just have this projected semi-major axis in light seconds units and some sine wave with the binary period and some phase. And if we also forget for a moment about the mixing between the frequency derivatives and the binary modulation, our timing model is simply as follows. This is the phase as a function of time and the timing parameters. And if we let's enumerate for a moment how many parameters we'll need for this binary modulation if we would want for some reason to enumerate over this binary modulation and then solve the rest with the lattice. So taking a kind of a modest case of 3 years, 10 to the 8 seconds, 10 millisecond pulsar, duty cycle of 10 to the minus 2, one light second orbit in a 3 hour period, with few hours period. We have some 10 to the 4 resolution elements in both the same major axis and in the phase, and some 10 to the 8 resolution in the omega binary, which amounts totally to like some 10 to the 16 total enumeration just on this binary modulation, which is not something we would not want to. So what are we going to do? We're going to, if we know how to solve a linear problem, we're going to linearize. We'll do it by just taking derivatives with respect to each one of those binary parameters. If the derivative with respect to the separation gives us this sine wave. With respect to the phase, gives us the cosine. And if we have some incorrect omega binary, we'll have this t times the cosine. So we have these linear spaces, but how many linear spaces do we need? So for this, we need to take another derivative and see how much of the next derivative we do not already cover with the first derivatives. So a nice coincidence in this case is that those sine and cosine, when you take more and more derivatives, they're just changing places. So we are already covering all of the parameter space for x and m. But for omega b, we are still limited, and we need to enumerate 10 to the 6 options here. So going from 10 to the 16 to 10 to the 6 is pretty good, at least naively, because there is still a problem. We had this nice coincidence of the cosine and sine that are degenerate with respect to together. They are just span the whole space. But if we do big deviation in m and small deviation in omega b, we are currently not covering it in this linear space. So it would be very convenient to add this t times sine, so having also this particular second derivative. In that way, we have both the vector for f dot, for x, m, omega b, and this complementary vector for deviation in omega b and m naught, which strictly speaking shouldn't be in our model, because if we set the coefficients for the first two, we already set the ratio between those, but we will leave them free because we get less enumeration. It also comes with the cost of less sensitivity. This thing is somewhat particularly good because of this sine and cosine degeneracy, but we can repeat the same process for all of the timing models when we span it with linear spaces. So we can take the f and its derivatives, the position, the proper motion, all of the 5 orbital parameters, choose points in parameter space. For each one of them, span a linear space using the first derivatives, and we might consider adding also second derivatives to reduce the enumeration which also comes with the cost of reducing some of the sensitivity. And that's how we span, well, including binary modulation in those puzzle searches. Thank you.
There are any questions for Dotan about this theory?
Can you give us a qualitative idea on how then you choose how many different points to
So I keep on, so for each point I can test. So I choose a point, I have some linear space it spans, and then I can, for a different point, I can test if it span, if it is already spanned in one of the linear spaces I have. So I can throw more and more points until I have 99% coverage, 95% coverage.
I have a question about something you mentioned, so, about the orbital period. Do you need to know the orbital period with enough precision to know roughly the orbital phase through the wall timing baseline that you're searching for, or the program does not tolerate orbital count ambiguities, I guess?
So it's even before, so before you have the number of orbits ambiguity, you would have just, you know, so you have this resolution for let's say for the semi-major axis. So if the mistake in the orbital period induces this kind of error for that, you would also need. So
one of the things, of course, in many cases, people know or identify systems in the Fermi field that have a candidate redback or black widow, right? So I guess those systems, the orbits are not quite precise enough to do these, or are they precise enough? So have people tried using both?
So this is what Lars does in his binary memory crosshair searches, where we have optical constraints on the orbital periods, but we still have to search a lot of orbital periods for the same reason.
Right.
We need.
But because with those, it's generally quite hard to get the correct orbital count, right?
Well, once you have optical observations spanning a couple of years, then you can generally
Predict the orbital count.
predict orbital period well enough.
Mhm.
But we still need to do millions of orbital period trials to.
Okay, so
variation in this kind of
okay,
so
yeah, that's why you have such high resolution on
yes.
this.
So I don't know, you could constrain it from the optical to percent would be fair, or
It's usually better, much better than that. It's, 1 part in a million or so.
Yeah, of course, that's not nearly good enough for timing. You need it.
No, but it's still, yeah,
Another 10 to 6 times or 10 to 9 times better.
but it's a few orders of magnitude.
The orders of magnitude that